We come to Newton. Newton is our last scientist.
On the shoulders of giants.
It's a very famous, empty them out. The crinkly, America's curse to the world. Cellophane, plastic, packaging. America's curse to the world.
What is China?
China got it from America, man. Come on. Okay. Newton is very famous for this quote. Newton is very famous for this quote. I'll pay somebody to be the camera person. Newton's really famous for this quote. If I have seen further, right. Sorry, not further, farther. Difference between farther and further. Far is distance. You see farther. You see more distance. Far. Farther.
Further is like more.
Further is like, or let's take this conversation further. Yeah, deeper. Yeah. Little English lesson there, sorry. If I have seen farther, Newton said, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. What does he mean by that? He's famous for this quote. That quote's famous.
It's the church, like the giant.
Nope.
You see from abroad.
Guys, be quiet. We got.
He's on top of people.
Who are the giants? Who are the giants? Galileo, Kepler, Copernicus. Newton, again. Think of Copernicus as like the father of the mathematical proof system, scientific method. Kepler as improving that, so Kepler's like the son, and Newton is the grandson. He's standing on the shoulders of Kepler and Copernicus especially, and seeing further, because they haven't discovered stuff. Please empty it, I'm serious. Please empty it. Empty it. Empty it. This story can be seen in two ways. It can be seen as the decline of the church in European history, or the rise of science, the birth of science, modern science. Remember the ancient Greeks? They didn't prove any of this stuff, they just thought about it. Aristotle was wrong about a million things, and it was only modern Europe that proved Aristotle wrong, because they started using math, they started using observation and experiment. And that's why we have the modern world. And so Newton, the Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, Newton thing, they all saw things. Newton studied what they learned. And because he saw what they saw, he was able to see further by standing on top of and taking taking further what they understood. Is this interesting?
Yes.
It's what you're doing in 9th grade. I know last year you guys were probably like making macaroni portraits of Leonardo or something for history.
That was fun. Did we do that?
But what you're, no, I'm making it up.
Oh.
But what, in other words, middle school, right? In middle school, you were like, let's make a toga.
Toga?
And now you are, I'm kidding. I know, I don't know.
That's a joke.
Oh.
Thank you, Michelle.
Social studies, we made like food and stuff.
Yeah, we did like marketing.
Yeah.
That was
So you've gone from middle school,
Anyways, middle school.
middle school sort of playtime to in 9th grade, you're doing intellectual history.
We didn't play though.
Yeah, we didn't play.
We like-
hard.
I know, we got an audience. We can't like it. You're doing intellectual history.
Let's pause this and.
Intellectual.
History. The history of ideas. Because here it comes. Newton, what did Newton do? Again, gravity, we already talked about it. If you're a good writer, you could make really fun plays on the idea of gravity. Everything falls according to the laws of gravity. The discovery of the law of gravity itself made many traditional religious beliefs fall. Get it? That's good use of language. I just made it up. I'm bragging. What fell? What fell because of Newton's?
Apple.
What ideas intellectually? It's like G period. That's probably not true.
But we wanted to find out why the apple fell from a tree.
Right?
That's probably not true.
It is.
Well, no, it falling on his head is probably not true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like George Washington cutting down the cherry tree. Probably not true. Although you're taught that as children. Gravity. What ideas fell when Newton said that the same law that explains, the same natural law that explains why an apple falls from a tree, explain why the moon moves across the sky, and why all the other planets do, and why the whole universe moves the way it does? What idea fell like that apple?
Church.
Okay, so now we're talking about religious ripples, religious effects. The Enlightenment, again, is called also the Age of Newton. Because Newton, you know, if you chop a tree, anybody ever chop down a tree?
No.
All right, who won? So I have two, right? And you keep chopping and you keep chopping, and here's the trunk, and you chop, 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 and the tree's still standing. But at a certain point, one last chop, and the tree starts going, and Newton and gravity could be said as the chop that brought the whole tree down. Of the traditional, dogmatic Catholic teachings for 1,000 years. How? And it didn't only bring that tree down, it raised a new tree.
Apple tree.
Okay, so let's talk about the religious ideas that fell. Because now it's the whole tree. With Newton, and that's why we call the Enlightenment the Age of Newton, because Newton is the guy that polished it off. He was the consummation. He was the high moment. Everything up there follows the same laws as everything down here. What idea, what belief just disappeared from the European intellect, cultural understanding?
God is the explanation of the world, like how it goes.
It never made sense to people before that the moon didn't fall down to the earth. It's up in the sky. Things in the sky fall to earth. Why doesn't the moon? Before we had science, before we understood the math, before Newton showed us, there was the best explanation we had was God did it. God keeps it up there. God and his angels. That explanation was no longer necessary because Newton explained it.
Did I his explanation like urge more that why doesn't the moon fall Earth because of Earth's gravity?
No, because he explained, if you throw something in that direction fast enough, hard enough, it will leave the Earth's atmosphere. And gravity will pull it, but the force that pushes it that way, gravity's working on it this way, but the force that you put into it is putting it that way. Well, the gravity will start pulling it down. It will start pulling it down but instead of falling back to the Earth because it has this first force that you put into it, it will just, it's always falling down, and that's what orbit is. But it's just going too fast to ever come back to Earth. It's right? That's how rockets go out into space. They have enough force. That's how satellites are launched. They're shot really fast out of the sky, but not so fast that they'll keep going forever out of the Earth's gravity field. But instead, the gravity will start pulling it back, and so it's falling in a constant circle around the Earth, right? But it's going fast enough to never actually come back and land. That's gravity. That's orbit. That's satellite. Huh?
If it spins faster, it would come back.
I don't want to go too far afield. If what spins faster, what would come back?
If the satellite
Spun faster?
spins fast,
It's not spinning, it's moving.
they're moving.
Speeding. If it sped faster, it would leave Earth's orbit and go out into space. Because the speed will be stronger than the pull of
So
gravity.
it has to be exactly like at the orbit.
So that is why again, Newton and the laws of gravity and all that stuff, yeah, that's how we do satellites. That's how we send rockets to Mars. We can say exactly how fast they have to go, where we have to aim them, and compute the gravity that they will feel when they get close to planets and such. We don't need to, why are we going off in that direction? Okay, so that's religious. Moral, do we have any moral? Oh, gravity explains the moon. Therefore, we have new definitions of good and evil.
No.
Scientific?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, it would make sense sort of to start with the scientific discovery when you write, wouldn't it? And then talk about what ripples it caused in the religious understandings, moral understandings.
Since it is you explain this rise of science, then there would be decline of church authority.
Sure, you tell me. If church authorities have said this is the truth, everything is kept up there by God's will and God's power, it's supernatural. It's not natural, it's supernatural. And Newton explains it as natural law. Here's the math, check my math. Isn't that going to, what was the question? Challenge church authority? Or no, isn't church authority going to see that as a challenge? Isn't that going to change the way people think about science and religion? Okay, so here we come. With Newton we have the birth of science because Newton finished it off. The universe as magic is no longer our explanation. It is now a universe. I don't care how far you send that rocket. I don't care how far you send that rocket. Whatever part of the universe it goes to is going to follow the exact same law. Even on the other end of the universe, galaxies far, far away, gravity is going to be true. That's why the universe moves around the way it does. What has Newton, okay, so the universe is no longer supernatural. What is the new metaphor that we have?
Universe is a machine.
Yeah.
The universe is a machine.
You're saying Earth is a machine. It's not just the Earth. Again,
So he's saying like,
if you showed this to a 4-year-old who's never seen one before, and it sees these things moving around, how would the 4-year-old explain it moving around? Let's say a 4-year-old from an island in the middle of the Pacific who wears a grass skirt, has no TV or anything else, right? A completely natural, science has not reached there yet. What would a 4-year-old or even a 20-year-old think that causes this thing to move? I can think of 2 explanations if I had no science in my head.
It's natural.
It's God, okay, or magic, something supernatural. Oh my God, this thing is moving. Must be supernatural. Or else, what's the other one?
I am.
It's a creature.
It's a thing, it's a living thing. Because living things move, right?
I would think like that.
4-year-old.
That was Julia. Julia just got that? All right. That's why, well, another word for the mechanistic worldview is the clockwork universe.
Clockwork.
Intellectual history. It's no longer a supernatural universe, it is a clockwork universe because